Today I want to talk about a little bit about the Archangel Azrael. Now, I am addressing this thing because I was just talking to one of my clients, and he has issues with a lot of beings messing with him, and specifically trying to talk to him and make sure that he stays here in the physical universe, that he reincarnates, that he's feeling bad, wrong, and guilty for just being a normal human being. And so I'm looking into okay, who's messing with you? Why are they doing this? And what's the whole hierarchy? I want to find out the whole picture. So I started looking into his case, and one thing I find out is again, I worked with him previously, and it's been the Archangel Michael that was messing with him. And those guys, archangels, we have good beings and bad beings, and some of them are really icky. And the thing is, with the whole angels, archangels, deities, gods and stuff like that, there's one that can be okay that you read about and that you feel oh my god, Jesus and all this stuff, they're very good to me and stuff. But at the same time, there are entities and other beings who will label themselves God, the Archangel, the Angel, the Spirit Guides, and all the other things. So these entities, a lot of times, will try to pick up the labels and be the thing we're calling for help for. So God, please help me. And you have a demonic being coming into your space and helping you because demonic being is calling itself God, or your spirit guide, or someone else that you're asking help for, but not being specific. So a lot of times they come into our space because we are inviting them without really knowing about it, or other times they just really interfere with us because of our past lives, or we're just being targeted. So Archangel Michael is one of the icky ones, but now the Archangel Azrael, the angel of death, the angel that helps people to cross over and go to heaven. Wow, what an icky being. The thing I'm getting and finding out is the whole picture of this Azrael comes over and tries to help people that passed away. He's gonna help them to, okay, let me show you heaven, I'm gonna bring you there. And I'm looking at this whole picture when I'm out of body, and what I'm seeing is he just tries to tell a lie and basically trap people in the angelic realms. Now there's a few things. It might seem oh, it's a great realm, it's the heavens, our angelic realm, everything's fine. And I'm looking there everything seems normal, people are happy, they're watering the plants, they're swimming in their boat, everything's fine. But the longer I'm being there, the more I'm finding out everything is a TRUMAN show. It's basically everyone's set up their whole life, they just pass away from Earth and they cross over and they come here into this angelic realm. What happens is that they live a normal, happy, peaceful life that is repetitive as can be. They forget all of their memories and they live with one little thing. I am going to water the plants. And the whole day the person's watering the plants. Watering the plants. But then the thing is, everyone has their own little job, their own little thing that they're going to do. And it's having a scenario, having yourself being programmed and you wake up in the morning and you have to get on the boat, and the whole day you're gonna be rowing and rowing and rowing and just being in the scene, rowing around and always swimming in one lake. Okay, is that all you want to do for the rest of your life? And I'm looking, some of those beings have been there thousands of years, sitting on a bench holding a book. They're not reading it, they're just looking and staring at it. For thousands of years they're stuck in that one little place, reading that one little thing, and they're turning a page. And that's it, they don't do anything. You try to interact with beings over there, and it's like watching Greta Thunberg trying to speak on her own opinion about the global warming and not reading a script. When she has a script, and she can go on and on and on and talk about how bad it is. But if someone asks her own opinion, all of a sudden she starts stuttering and don't know what to say, and it's a big deal. And all of a sudden she's basically saying everything opposite of what the script was about. She can't talk for herself. So the same thing is with beings over there who are you ask them a question hi, who are you? And they tell you the name, what are you doing here? Oh, Archangel Azrael helped me to come here, and angels are very loving, and I'm just having a nice life here. And they're enjoying their little thing. But they did the same thing for hundreds and thousands of years. Rowing a boat for thousands of years. And I'm looking at this whole picture, okay, I'm trying to ask a conversation okay, so what happened when you crossed over, or crossed over? They mentioned the Azrael coming over and helping them to go there. Okay, but what happened before your death? I don't remember. What would you like to do now? Oh, I just want to get back to rowing my boat, reading my book or something. Okay, but what do you want to do later? And they're what do you mean? And they, like, all of a sudden, they're looking at you like you're the devil, and they're questioning you like, oh, like, who? You're the intruder. We should get the angels to take you out. You're the bad guy. And you're trying to help them to wake up, to ask them more questions, to make them at least realize that, hey, you're in the system, you're in the program, something's wrong here. And they're not seeing the whole picture. So I'm looking around some more, and what I'm finding out is, like, all the beings who are in that, like, angelic realm, they're basically like gears in the mechanism. Like, they're making everything work. And their energy is being drained out to power up and create the realm and extend it. So every person who comes there, and let's say they might like fishing, they might like rowing, they might like just walking in the park. The thing that they like will be extended realm. And this realm is infinite. The more beings you bring there, the more the realm will like expand. And it's basically every single person does a repetitive thing 24/7. Every single minute of the day, they're just walking in the park. Like, they don't have anything. They just like working like a program, like an NPC. And so millions of beings are being taken by this angel of death, the Azrael, and trapped in this like realm, and they can't get out. Like, they're still enslaved, and they're still like in this physical, except like it's the realm of the angels, and oh, like the big deal, they're free from earth, they're free from this, they're not sinners. And now they're just gears in the mechanism, completely brainwashed, completely mindless, and they're just like working things, and whew, that's kind of like it's kind of my mind-boggling.
Brilliants are the ones undoing your work, usually. In today's session, they're the ones, at least specific groups I noticed, are the ones working for Archangel Azrael. Why? Because in our past sessions and what we found, Archangel Azrael is actually leading people. He's the Archangel of Death. He's the one that helps people to move on and like, okay, you've just passed away. I'll help you and move to, like, help you to go to the heavenly realms and like taking care of people's safety and stuff. This is a great story they give us. This is a great story of like, oh, he's gonna come and make sure I'm safe and calm, and we're gonna go to this nice realm and I'll be safe. It happens. Yeah, he comes and takes people and makes sure they're going to heaven and stuff. But this heaven, these heavenly realms he's leading people to, are just constructs. It is the afterlife trap. People are there thinking like they're kind of like in heaven and everything's kind of the way they imagined before death and stuff. But they don't have memories from what happened before. And while they're there in that realm, their energy is being used to sort of like empower and keep those realms going. And people have no awareness. And slowly they're stuck in this construct thinking like this is their life now, they're in heaven, but they're not moving forward. It's like they're stuck with everything they've had before there. And instead of being on earth, now in their heavenly realm, but they can't interact with others. They're like isolated. They can't talk to anyone. It's like, okay, you're just stuck here. You can't get out. There are more traps there than on Earth, and it's even worse. And so, Archangel Azrael, the one I saw, like, because there are like different ones. There will be different entities that will put the label and stuff. There might be a good one. Like, who knows? But the one I saw is the one that's actually trying to deceive people. And the whole thing is, when people are triggered, when you're feeling negative, when you feel those harsh emotions, when you're pissed off at life, when you're disappointed, when you're in agony, when you're depressed, when you're about to commit suicide and stuff, a lot of people are going through these harsh emotions daily. They're suffering daily. Our emotions like that are giving them luosh. This is the negative energy that helps them to be empowered, that sort of like feeds them, that like, can be used as energy to empower the technology. Sort of like, it's like how we use gasoline to drive our cars, or like or diesel and stuff. Hey, you put some of that, your car can go for a while. So how we like give juice to our car, the same way they're using luosh to empower their realms. While they don't have creativity and imagination and cannot create things by themselves, while destroying our life, putting us in the agony, having us to feel all those harsh emotions, we're the ones suffering. And while we suffer, we are hopeful. We're hoping for a better world. We're hoping that, well, when I die, I wish that it would be like this. And we think about like what our afterlife would be like, what would it look like, the beings we would meet, how we would feel, and we become hopeful with things we want. But that's exactly what they want. to crush us again and again and again, to the point where we're hoping for a better life. And it's great to want a better life. But the thing is, this is also being used against you, because these beings are trying to take away everything from you, tear you apart, make sure you have nothing for yourself, that you're suffering 24/7, and get pushed to the point where you are creating these awesome realms you think of for them. Because everything you imagine, you create. You put your focus on, like, oh, this is a beautiful place, and like if my life was like this, and you just imagine the sceneries, the buildings, the cities, the nature, other things and events and stuff, and you're creating this whole scenario in your mind, in your head, like how life would be if. But all these ifs, every single imagination you do, still can manifest things. Now, Archangel Azrael, think of all the 7 billion people on Earth daily suffering, and Archangel Azrael is using other beings. Like there's a whole lot of connections. We can't point fingers just as the Azrael. He's the one at the fault. He's the bad one here. No, there's going to be tons of other beings connected who are trying to mess up our lives, who have similar goals, and they just come together as a group because it's working out. But the thing is, when they crush us, and there's like lots of reasons why, it's not just the brilliance and our archangels. There's entities and reptilians and other beings and people in their lives and suppressive people, psychopaths, narcissists, and blah blah blah, right? So when we're being crushed, we start hoping and imagining a better life. As we do that, as we're suffering, we create these realms for them, because we're being hopeful, and our imagination, our mind, our thoughts will manifest things for them because they cannot do it themselves. So now we're being crushed, but we saw the better world. And when people pass away, like Archangel Azrael come and meets them, and like he brings this calmness, like you feel calm and safe, like, oh, all of a sudden everything's fine, and you feel good, and you feel like you knew this being for a long time, and he's kind of like a friend and really taking care of you, caring for all of your needs, how you feel, and basically he just comes here like with this natural nice voice and making sure he pleases you in every single way. And with that, he says like, hey, well, I can take you to the heavenly realms, make sure you're safe there, that you are in a great place, and you'll go wherever you want. And you're like, oh, okay. And you start following this being. And you end up in this nice heavenly realm. But the thing is, once you go there, it's like agreeing, like, okay, I agree to be there. And people trust Archangel Azrael because they feel so good in his presence. They're just feeling overflowed with that love and care and calmness, and like, oh, this is so peaceful. Thank you. And like, we feel such a strong connection. But the thing is, you know how devil can take all these shapes and to give you all the pleasures, to satisfy every single need? Just put a mask on and make sure that the picture you see is exactly what you want to see. But you're not seeing the real deal. That this guy is trying to deceive you. That this guy is going to bring you to a place where you're going to be stuck here again, not specifically on Earth, but in heavenly realms. But you can't get out, you can't teleport out of there, no connections with other people, mind wipe again, just making sure you're stuck, and you're in this blissful state like, oh, I'm in peace now. Everything's great. But people sometimes are also in peace when they're dying. And people who are in prison have to realize like, hey, I am trapped. I am in prison before they're gonna get out, So it's like being trapped in this place where you can't get out and feeling great about it, feeling like, hey, it's a good thing for you. It's like, it's, oh, so pleasurable. I feel calm and I feel great. Thank you, Archangel Azrael. I feel safe now. But you can't get out for a few billion years. You have no abilities, no memories. You're in just this blissful state for a while. And that's where it ends. People spend millions or billions of years in this blissful state, stuck in this realm. And that's like where the Archangel Azrael comes in, takes people, gives them all this love and kindness and attention and care, and makes sure that everyone follows him. Not like, like, hey, I'm going to make sure you're calm, and you can choose where you want to go yourself. It's your choice. You have the freedom. You're a powerful being. What would you like to do? There's none of that. It's just trying to give you a bullshit story like a good sales car person, Hey, this car is freaking awesome. It's going to make sure you're safe. It's gonna give you all the like extra. People are gonna look at you. Some girls will want to fuck you and stuff, and like blah 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 blah. Just like telling you like uh-huh, 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 and you're going with it, you know? So basically, this Archangel Azrael will make sure you're feeling great. You're feeling safe and calm, and you know, like you're gonna like, hey, this is great, this is working, this is so blissful and stuff. But the thing is, it's like being in this blissful state before someone kills you, being in this blissful state and not understanding the real deal. So, you know, Azrael is the one that's like trying to make sure that brilliance are the ones undoing your work, making sure that whatever you do in life, all the time and effort you spend on something is not happening. You're not seeing any wins. You're still stuck there. So we're suffering. They're taking our luosh to empower their realms, basically, because your energy is going to make sure those realms keep running, because they need energy. And if they cannot suck our energy while we're there, they're going to use while we're here to make sure that whole thing is still running, right?
Like the village person I've been working with is amazing, like very cute, very nice. And basically, she's a great girl, and apparently a lot of her life is being like stopped. All the relationships, no matter what she does, there's like tons of blocks. She cannot get through to people. She cannot connect. She always gets sort of these emotionally abusive relationships. And you know, like it's like basically pretty harsh. You're always feeling like alone. Like whatever you do, you're sort of like, you know, like it's losing your energy. It's just like there's some blockages in your life, and like, you know, what's up? And you look at entities, like, yeah, not really. Reptilians? No. Archons? Anunnaki? Nope. Grace? Nope. Like, what? So you look at those things, like, what's causing all the whole thing? And basically, angels. Angels and archangels. What the hell, really? Yeah, basically, I'm looking at her past lives. And there were times where some archangels like saw her, and she was doing pretty bad in the one of her past lives. She was also abused. She was like sort of like, hey, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, it's not Earth, but it's far away from here. And still, those archangels are like, hey, we see that your life sort of messed up. You're not happy. Allow us to help you. If you agree to give your body as a vessel, we will make sure that you get absolutely everything done for you, and we will give you everything you need. You're going to be energized. You're going to have all your dreams come true. And these angels and archangels, they seem false just because they want your agreement. You see, normal people, when they come and help, you know, the genuine ones, like, you know, like, oh, you need a hand? Come on, here you go. You know, they're going to help you without asking, can I help? Can I pick you up? You know, like that sneaky smile and stuff doesn't really happen. And these archangels, they're like really like, you know, trying to deceive people. And basically, in one of her past lives, she got this like archangel who like got her agreement to help her out. And once he gets the agreement, he literally gets the control of the body. The body becomes the vessel, a tool, and that archangel can control her body. What he does is, one, uses her as a tool to go to other people and to become that person that's actually messing others up, like becoming that energy vampire that's going to suck up all their energy, mess up their life, cause lots of troubles, and other people end up being messed up again. And now Archangel appears in front of another person saying, hey, you look like you're messed up. If you would like help, if you agree to give your body as a vessel, as a tool, I'll make sure that your life is da-da-da-da-da. And the whole planet gets messed up by these archangels and angels who are trying to get agreement to get, you know, to like, you know, hey, your body's a tool. That's what I got, and that's what Jesus said. Like, you know, like, you know, you should like go with us and stuff. So one makes an agreement, and they become the tool for these archangels. They have no more control over their body, no more free will, and nothing. And what happens next is that these beings, it's not just they're controlling the body alone, but now it's as if like they leave a mark on the consciousness, on the soul. So whenever you go from that life and you're done, you're never coming back there, and you go to another one, another like planet, another life, and eventually you end up here on Earth. That mark is still existing. That mark is still affecting the person, and now it shows up in, you know, like, hey, a person incarnates here, and they feel a very strong connection to angels. Like, you know, I don't know why. You might not be a believer, but you have that very, very strong connection to angels. They're just there, and you know it. Like, in past lives, I had a connection with angels. Yeah, what kind of connection? Were they messing with you? Were they controlling you? What kind of connection, you know? So people might not be aware of it. But they just remember, like, strong connection with archangels and angels, and they go for it, and they start praying and doing different things. Well, you have no memories of actually being abused by the fake angels, and they're the ones who are, like, still in this life on Earth are trying to mess people up. They're the ones actually, just like archons, trying to collect the luosh, mess people up, and whenever people end up praying for something, like, like, oh God, please, whatever, and they, like, ask for something, they want something, need something, and they're like, they're just praying, they're gonna get exactly the opposite of what they were praying for. Because those angels are like, like, yeah, we got your agreement, you're with us now, but if you get better, we're not doing good. You need to be our slave, you need to get messed with, and that's where they benefit. And literally, these are just another forms of, like, hey, not everyone is good. And I'm not saying that all angels and archangels are bad. There are groups, there are specific factions, and there's specifically this one's, like, trying to mess with people, and that's where people have to pay attention. If someone wants an agreement from you, and like, hey, we're gonna help you, but if you have to agree first, that's red flag, like, especially with beings out there, like, like, hey, we're gonna challenge some information for you, or like whatever, and they want your agreement. That's where you have to watch out, because you don't know what's waiting ahead, what kind of things they have planned out, and read between the lines and stuff.
So I've had an out-of-body experience this morning, and what I saw helped me connect the dots. There's this issue going on for a lot of people, and that's like having nightmares and unpleasant dreams. Dreams that make you feel like you're bad, wrong, and guilty, you have done something wrong, or dreams that inflict fear. And also, the whole situation is all related to fear. People that live in fear, afraid of sinning, afraid of doing something wrong, afraid that, oh, well, if I haven't done something, I'm bad, wrong, and guilty. And a lot of what's going on in the world, again, is based on fear. That's how you control people. And so what I saw when I was out of body was a lot of angelic beings, and specifically those that, control the whole group. And what I'm talking about is more of the negative aspect. And what I'm seeing is just one thing out of a billion. So for those who are very religious, for those who like Jesus and angels and archangels and everything else, and you see the benefits, good for you. If this is working for you, great. But this video is for those that believe in, let's say, religion and angels and all this stuff, but at the same time live in fear that if they're going to do something, they're going to go to hell. They're controlled by fear. They act on fear. They're afraid of chaos and everything else. And those people, and I'm specifically looking back at my grandma, because, a few days ago, I made a video that, hey, I was visiting my grandma and we had this conversation and everything else. And she was talking that, 7 days in a row, she's dreaming of her husband that died in a plane crash. And with that, in dreams, she could never get a really good conversation. In dreams with her husband, she would wake up in tears, terrified, thinking like, hey, well, damn, like he's not talking to me, he's not doing anything. And there's like a lot of the negative emotion. And my grandma thinks that, she's guilty and bad and she could have done more. And she just blames herself for the last 35 years since he was gone. And, like it's so much on her. But at the same time, it's not her real husband visiting her. That dream and specific experiences she's having throughout the night are created. It's a dreamscape. And it is created by those angelic beings that see that my grandma is like working on, let's say, hey, she's a bit empowering herself. Well, there's a lot of bad things going on and she would have the mindset of overthinking. She doesn't know the whole situation, so she's just going to think up of the worst scenarios possible and then see if that's true or not. And for her, a lot of these bad experiences, again, she's controlled by fear and ends up in, fuck, I'm guilty, bad, wrong, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to go to hell, or, my husband hates me and everything else. And I look at more people I talk to in sessions and everything else, and they can say the same thing. It either happens to them or their relatives, but specifically the ones that have ever heard about religion and think that there's possibility of going to hell, but they might not really buy into that topic, or they really buy into it, but they still are afraid of going to hell. And those people are going to be targeted. So these angelic beings are going to create dreamscapes or they're going to make sure that whatever you're supposed to experience during the night will not be your major experience. And so you're going to be redirected to the dreamscape that is controlled, and it's going to be a negative experience. It's going to be something that's going to have you wake up and feel bad, wrong, guilty, exhausted, drained, feel kind of like icky, you're not yourself anymore. And a lot of people, because these days there's a lot going on in the world, our focus shifts into solving present time problems, or at least getting better, getting some control. Like there's a lot of stuff going on, but we're not going to buy into the fear mongering. We're going to empower ourselves. We're going to take care of ourselves. We're going to be healthy, happy, and everything else. And those groups see that our attention goes into this, and the whole praying, giving your energy to the other guys, feeding them, the luosh, even the negative energy and all this stuff, they're not getting it. And because of that, they're like, hey, we need to do something. So recently there's been more and more angelic groups that would target people who are, again, living in fear and try to scare them, try to make them feel bad, wrong, guilty, negative, and everything else. And, so you just like, you see it going on in the background a lot, like people trying to manifest something good in their life and they get attacked. And now there's a lot of other groups, like it's not just, oh, humanity is being targeted by this group and that's it. No, like there's billions of beings, billions of groups, and billions of us. And, one guy is attacked by this person, one guy is attacked by that person, one guy is attacked by this group, and it's just all like variations. So we can never blame one thing, but specifically this one angelic group I'm seeing, they've been feeding off people who were praying, who give their energy to the God and pray and everything else. And, they live in fear, but they try to make sure that, hey, well, if I pray and I ask for something good will happen. And then, and like those angelic beings are like, well, they're asking for this, so we're going to make sure they get a little bit, that we're going to mess with them again, scare them, push them into their limit, and have them ask for more, like have them experience something traumatic. So people end up losing someone like they have close to them, getting into car accidents or something else, something traumatic happens, and then they end up praying to God and, oh God, please help me, save me, and give health and everything else. And they pray, and all that energy is connected, and they go, like these angelic beings just gather it up, and now like they're feeding off from it, or they use it for their technologies, or they use it for creating more dreamscapes and everything else. And so you are godlike creator being, or a lot of us here are that. And so when people, are harvested, that creator God energy is being used against us. And like that can be, like that's where we have more nightmare worlds or dreamscapes that are controlled against us. And, they can scan us. They know everything about us. Like we don't know shit about ourselves. Like we don't see inside our physical body. We don't see what's good or bad with us. We're like, I feel like I'm feeling fine today, but your body, like, your liver could be using some detox, you could take care of your kidneys and everything else, but you're not doing that. And like, we just assume like, just because we feel somewhat fine, we're good. But every day we should put some work into that, So every one of us, we can take care of ourselves, but for those, that are creator beings, and all this energy is just being harvested and created against us. And so like, when I'm talking about these angelic beings, looking and knowing everything about us, what I'm talking about is that they can just access your Akashic records. Everyone can. It's not a taboo thing. You can access anyone else's, anyone else can access yours, using technology, using intentions, using their godlike abilities. Does like it just various groups with their ways of doing it. So that being said, they can look into what you've experienced in life. What is precious to you? What are your, values and everything else in life? And they can see ways to hurt you. What are some of the things that can happen in your life that will trigger you? And they see like, oh, well, here's a page, and they know what to do, how to push your buttons.